My name is Jason Tocewicz, and you are listening to the True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book creators and supporters. It's October 2nd, 2020. I'm John Swinimer. If you have a comment, criticism, or question, you can contact me at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. On this episode, I chat with Jason Tocewicz. The podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Jason is a Toronto cartoonist and an alumnus of Ty Templeton's Comic Book Boot Camp. Jason has worked with fellow boot camp graduate Sam Noir and contributed to indie publications such as Heady Mental, Fan Fiction the Comic Strip, Fandemonium the Comic Strip, and Zip Kramer. Jason's latest work is a contribution to the Cauldron anthology. I met up with Jason at the Raid Studio during an art exhibit for the new Cauldron magazine unveiling. So without further ado, here's my chat with Jason Tocewicz. So I'm here with Jason Tocewicz. Thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Cool. What I normally do to start off the interview is ask the creator about their first comic book. So I'm wondering if you remember, what was the first comic book that you read?
You know, it's really hard to remember. My dad used to buy me comics all the time, and he would actually hide them under chairs and couches in our house growing up. So I just remember just a barrage of comics. I remember seeing Conan and Green Lantern, Teen Titans, Batman comics. It was always just a barrage of comics. They were always there for me. So I'm not exactly sure which one was always my first, but actually it probably was a Conan book. Cool.
Oh, that's good stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, who or what inspires you to create art today?
Today, there's so many great artists out there today. It feels like, especially when you go on Instagram and or if you just walk to a comic book store, I guess if I had to say anyone who really has been inspiring me lately, it's been a lot of Richard Corbin and James Herron, Jenny Warren Johnson, you know what? I'd even say Jay Fosgitt and Jeff Smith. Those guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have a love for so many different styles of art and comics, and I just love so much of it.
Cool. No, that's good stuff. So we recently met up at an art exhibit for the new Cauldron magazine that you're part of, but I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit before we go into the magazine, what you were showing at that particular event.
At the event, I'm showing 2 pages from my previous Cauldron story, from the second issue of Cauldron, 2 pages from Haunted Memories that I did with Sam Noir and Aaron Bear. And I was also showing off a watercolor painting of Saint Nala, which is one of the newer characters that we're going to use in Cauldron. And oh my goodness, I know I have another piece up there right at the moment. Actually, it's not hanging on the wall right now, but during the show we were showing off one of the pages from the new Cauldron story, Museum Technique, that I drew and Sam Noir wrote, and Shane Herron is inking my artwork, and Jeffrey Miles is doing the colors, and we had this huge piece of artwork, like a large piece of board, and had some more mature content, so we couldn't show it during the regular daytimes of the show, but during the night we set it up.
Cool. So this is a new story that you have in the latest issue that's going to be coming out shortly. Can you talk a bit about what that story is all about?
The story is called Museum Mécanique. It's a puppet maker who returns from the Great War traumatized, and he's unable to connect with anything or anyone other than these puppets that he makes for his arcade amusements. And his lonely wife ends up making a bargain with the devil in the form of a glamorous burlesque dancer inside an old kinetoscope machine.
Wow, that sounds intriguing. That's for sure.
It was definitely fun to draw. Actually, when Sam Noir sent me the initial, the first script notes, I was like, oh my god, I have to do this. Oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, I was talking to Sam in a previous interview, and he explained to me this character's Satinella that I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, I believe she's actually, it's an older character. I think she's just, and I'm forgetting the term used now when all those older characters come up for use. Yeah, it's another character that's kind of been forgotten like over time, and Sam found her and really dug into her and told everyone else about her, and yeah, everyone got really. It was really exciting actually. It was like really a lot more. It was just a lot of energy really about this character. I was like, we really want to draw this, and when I saw Cristiano's initial design for her, I'm like, oh my god, I want to draw this character.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So maybe that leads to our next question about the creative process. Maybe you could take me through, whether this example or something else, how you go from the initial concept to the finished page. Well, how do you do that?
First, after Sam sends me some of the some information, I usually start with like model sheets. I'll start coming up with some concepts, and I'll start trading around with some of the guys on the editorial team, like Shane, Casey, and Ricky. We have like a little private group chat where we can send photos to each other and just kind of get their thoughts on it. And it's kind of also working on rough little thumbnail sketches. I'm 100% like traditional. I just pen and paper for me. Everything's just do it all old school. Just all on board and ink.
Do you go with a thumbnail first, or do you actually start drawing the whole thing out?
Oh, I always start with some thumbnails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And pencil for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I used to use a lot of blue line, but I've been trying to use a lot more like a nice light 4H to 2H, trying to transition over from that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all old school for me.
And how do you do your inking?
I'm experimenting around with different things. For a while, I was using disposable brush pens. Then they led me more into like the Turtaki brush pens, the Pentel brush pen, and I really want to get into just using like a traditional brush, like a Winsor Newton or a Raphael. I just really dig that feeling, like it's just kind of, it's something like mesmerizing about it. When you really get into the inking and you're just in the zone and just doing like the brushwork and everything. It's just like I don't know how else to describe it. It's just you kind of really get into the art.
Cool. No, it's something to be proud of. Something that you're rewarded by your work. You feel positive about doing it and the manner in which you do it too. That's a good thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So you've got Cauldron finished, and so my question to you now is, what other projects do you have in the works that you can talk about?
Well, I have a little secret project I'm working on with Sam Barr. I pitched out a story one night, and we both got hooked on the idea, and we start some work on that. I want to do a little project for myself at the same time. Maybe get like a webcomic going, or maybe just do some mini comics, some short stories. I really want to start building up and to doing some of my own stuff. Cool.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. So where can people find out more about your certainly your Cauldron project, and where they can find you online to find more about your work?
The best place for me is Instagram. They can just type in my name, Jason Tocewicz. That's Tocewicz. You'll find me, and you'll see all the stuff I do, from Cauldron to my own personal doodles and sketches to sometimes every once in a while I still will post some cup art that I got popular for a couple of years ago from Starbucks. So I still once in a while do one of those. And and I'm also on Facebook and Twitter.
Very good. Well, Jason, those are all the questions I had for you, but I'm wondering if there's something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
The one thing that I think that that I was thinking of is, it's funny because I was trying to think about when I was talking about my first comic may have been Conan, but I think my biggest source of inspiration for drawing in comics was actually a large poster that my dad had framed. That's always been in my house growing up, and it's a painting by Boris. Is it Vallejo? I think it was called The High Couch of Celestia. I always remember growing up and just always looking at that picture and just wanting to draw. And so when I look back and I think about inspirations, I think that might have actually been my largest one.
Have you seen it since?
Oh, every once in a while when I go back home. It's still hanging up above the TV.
Thanks to Jason for the chat. You can discover more about Jason on Twitter at JTOCEWICZ and on Instagram at Jason Tocewicz. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And please leave a good rating. Also check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website and follow along on Twitter at True North Comics. Please send your feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks again for listening. Come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2020.